Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Mariya. This channel is about spirituality. Please subscribe below so we can be YouTube friends. This video is about soul retrieval. I'm going to dive into what soul retrieval is, and we're going to dive into the common misconceptions of what people think it is versus what it actually is. And I'll give you specific examples about how you can benefit from a soul retrieval practice on your spiritual journey. Before we dive in, I wanted to remind you, or if you're new here, I'll let you know that I wrote a book called 72 Keys to Manifestation, or An Ancient Path of a Modern Day Alchemist. It was my first book. It is channeled, and it represents a journey of 72 days, 72 keys, a journey towards your greatest abundance. So you're supposed to either follow the keys one by one or just open the book on a key of your choosing and see what comes through. Every key comes with a practice. So I have that book in hardcover, softcover, ebook format, as well as on Audible. Available through Amazon and Audible. Check it out if this resonates. All right, my darlings, let's talk about soul retrieval. Very often, I hear of this concept of soul retrieval interchangeably with shadow work. It is not technically correct to use them interchangeably. Shadow work is a little bit different. So let's talk about what shadow work is as opposed to soul retrieval. Shadow work is you working with the parts within you, like the many personalities, the many archetypes, the many past lives that live within you. And essentially, the process of shadow work is the process of coming into oneness, where these parts are not fighting against each other, but they're coexisting very, very peacefully. Or sometimes the process of shadow work is about reassigning a new task to an old or existing part of you, because what the part used to do for you, the service that that part used to render for you, no longer is applicable. For instance, you may have a protector part, but nothing else to protect you from. And sometimes our protector parts or our broken parts or our wounded parts are holding us back from doing what we're meant to do. Most of the work that you're going to do on your spiritual path around reclaiming your power is going to be most likely shadow work. So shadow work is getting it's like the process of getting a lot of clarity on your triggers, on your wounding, on the many karmic knots, and then tracing them back to when they actually happened. And there's usually a part of you at the inception point that suffered greatly, and therefore that part was created. And so shadow work is a process of getting to know yourself, frankly, and unearthing new and new parts of you that need to come into the light. What about soul retrieval, though? What is soul retrieval? Soul retrieval is this process of reclaiming parts of your energy back into your body. Soul retrieval cannot happen on a planet that you have never incarnated on before. For instance, if you were to incarnate on Venus right now and say you've never had a life on Venus, you could not do soul retrieval. You could do shadow work on Venus, but you could not do soul retrieval. Soul retrieval implies that you have been in a particular place before and a part of your energy is still there. Now, technically, does a part of your soul get fractured and, get left behind? That's probably not a very correct way of thinking about what happens, but a big chunk of your energy can be encapsulated in a particular location or a particular time. Now, this may happen intentionally or not intentionally, meaning I'll explain maybe the first part, what does it mean when intentionally a soul would leave a part of itself or its energy behind, and why would you do that? Very often, it happens when you're preparing for a master incarnation. Master incarnation doesn't just mean the numerology master number incarnation. Sometimes, there are such incarnations that are like the pinnacle of what you have been working towards. A lot of souls that are incarnated in this pivotal moment in time for Gaia and humanity are living what is refer to what would be deemed as a master incarnation. So it's like a pinnacle of complexity, the pinnacle of how far you can go, the pinnacle of, what you can offer to the collective, the pinnacle of your personal service as a soul. And of course, the soul usually pre-plans ahead. So sometimes you go on 3,000 lifetimes just to hit this one pinnacle master incarnation towards the end and get a golden star for it. And in order for you to achieve what you want to achieve in that master incarnation, usually the entire journey is pre-planned from life one. So at soul level, you would know, okay, like after 3,000 lifetimes, my end point is this, and this is what I'd like to have, be, do, experience, all of the above, right? All of this is pre-painted on a canvas. And then you're very intentional about every single life that happens leading up to that point at soul level. So here's the deal. Sometimes when you're leading into a master incarnation, your soul would choose to leave chunks of itself, or rather its energy, behind almost as a bookmark on a book. For example, say you came into an incarnation and you were a politician and you developed your political skills to a very, very admirable degree. Your soul may choose, even though, whether that is a traumatic lifetime or not a traumatic lifetime, your soul may choose to leave a part of its energy in that incarnation so that during the master incarnation, you can do soul retrieval, come back into that past life, reclaim that energy into your body. And because with that energy, what's going to get transferred to you are the skill sets from that lifetime, which would be public speaking, probably, the ability to convince somebody, the ability to get the policies across, and, all of the things that come with being a politician, become influential, become impactful, all of these, right? They would be re-uploaded back into your current body, into your current auric field, into your current etheric body. And essentially with that soul retrieval process, you would get those powers, right? So in other words, in this case, it would be a very intentional conservation process on behalf of the soul. Now, it doesn't always happen intentionally. Sometimes it happens unintentionally. Unintentional soul loss or loss of energy can happen and does happen through trauma. If there's something that's really, really dramatic, I don't know, example, you're in a tribal village, the conquistadors come and they kill your entire family. That is a very traumatic experience. A part of your soul energy may be left in that time and in that space. And then, of course, you disincarnate, and then it's almost like your body, your soul cannot reconnect with that energy. And so for that, soul retrieval would be necessary. And that is like a little bit of a mix between soul retrieval and parts work, like both need to be present. But the end result of soul retrieval would be a massive influx of the energy into your body and really you reclaiming that which you once lost. Now, soul retrieval, in the true sense of the word, is usually either attached to a time or a place or both. Example, if it's attached to a place, the one and the only way really, well, I guess you can etherically travel, but the only way for you to reclaim that energy is to actually physically be there. That's why pilgrimages are so important. Very often you would be called to go on a pilgrimage to a country or a particular location where you have been incarnated in past lives. The reason being soul retrieval needs to happen. There is a part of your energy there that will automatically be magnetized back into your auric field if you just go into the same location. That's why spiritual travel is so important. That's why it's also very important to be intuitive about this process, because your soul always wants to reconnect with particles of itself that it has left behind. And so if your soul is giving you a call, like go to Glastonbury or go to the south of France or whatever have you, you know it's because there's probably some memory encapsulated there and probably a part of your energy is still there. That's that. Now, so it can be a physical location or it can be a time. Meaning, like part of your energy can be in the 1500s. A part of your energy can be in the 1200s. A part of your energy could still be in the days that Atlantis was sinking. A part of your energy can be attached to the times where Jesus was living, or the Buddha was living and meditating under the Bodhi tree. Whatever actually happened, right? Like it could really impact the amount of energy that your soul could be missing. So how do you retrieve those? The ones that are attached specifically to a time usually come back through meditations, and specifically past life regressions. So going back to the times of Atlantis would inadvertently trigger soul retrieval, right? Even if you do any kind of past lifetime meditation. By the way, I have a number of meditations available, or past life regression, on our Sacred Universe podcast, Spotify, Apple. Check it out. You could reclaim parts of your energy by just going in a regression and remembering the trauma that happened. And all of a sudden, it would just come back. And then the last but not least, the soul retrieval that is attached to both a time and a place. Meaning, there is a particular trauma that you experienced. Call it, 500 BC in Greece. And in order to reclaim that energy, you're going to have to physically be in Greece or in a locale that is very close to Greece. And at the same time, right, if it's attached to a location, just being in that location, to a location and a time, just being in that location is not enough, right? Because there are two anchors. So you're going to have to meet the space anchor, the place, location, and the time anchor, meaning if your soul retrieval is really complex and it really belonged to, call it this, the sinking of Atlantis, you're really going to probably have to go to Key West and go through a regression or a past life meditation to reconnect with that energy, to reclaim the parts of your soul. Now, the question that I'm getting from the collective is, well, what if I cannot travel? What if my soul retrieval thing, what if the parts of my soul are in a location that is hard to travel to, or a location like Lemuria that sank, Mariya? Are you saying there's no way that I could ever get it? You could do soul retrieval just via meditation and past life regression alone. The problem with that is this: you don't always know where to look. Sometimes it's like Easter eggs. You don't know where your greatest treasure is. And if you were to know, yes, it would be possible for you to reclaim most of your energy and do soul retrieval from the comfort of your couch. However, some places just trigger these memories, right? So it's not like anything really is a substitute for pilgrimages and spiritual travel, because there are just things that you don't know, right? And so ideally you do both. Ideally you do past life regressions. Ideally you do a ton of shadow work, and you also go on these spiritual journeys. You go on retreats. You just travel while your heart calls you, because there's probably something for you there to find. Another question that I'm getting is so how do I know that a part of my energy is in a particular location? So very often, if you get off the plane, or however, whatever is the modes of travel, however you got there, and then you start breathing the air, and the first thing that you feel or think is, ooh, it feels like home. Especially if you've never been there before, and it certainly is not your home, is because A, you've lived there in past lifetimes, and B, because a part of your soul or your energy is there, right? So it feels extremely familiar. The energies of home are these energies of familiarity, right? It's you recognizing you in that place. Happened to me in Peru, happened to me in England, happened to me in so many different places. I remember when I came to Peru, the moment I got off the plane and just, was breathing the air, and I knew I was home. And then later I started remembering all of the things. I started remembering the past lives that I've had in Sacred Valley and being a shaman and all these other things, right? But it's that recognition that you're searching for. You're fishing for that recognition, a place you've never been before that feels like home. Most likely there's your energy there. Most likely there's some soul retrieval that needs to happen, some past life regressions. All right, my darlings, if you have any follow-up questions, and if you want me to do follow-up videos, please drop them into the comments below, and do let me know about your soul retrieval journey. And if you've ever felt at home in a location that you've never been before, I love hearing your stories and love having this collective shared experience with you. So much love for you. Bye, darlings. See you in the next one.